Ouija, the mysterious talking board. A Ouija board affords amusement for young and old. It's mysterious. Ask it a question. Ouija will answer it. Lots of fun and just the thing for parties or to while away the long evening. Get yours today for $1.50. Hey, we're Remnants. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Emily.
And today we are talking about the Ouija board.
Ouija.
I know. I realized
Ouija board.
I've always said Ouija, but I think I was listening to some podcasts and they say Ouija. So
well, they're just being know-it-alls. I think Ouija is more fun to say.
It is.
I don't care if it doesn't look like it at all.
I mean, it's honestly a made-up word anyway, so who really knows how you're supposed to say it?
Like, I feel like Dr. Seuss would agree with us that we should just say whatever the fuck we want.
So you'll probably hear me say both ways throughout the episode.
But her natural default is Ouija, so we all know she's lying to us this whole time saying Ouija.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. So this episode kind of came about because I realized I know nothing about Ouija boards. Like, as we were just thinking of topics, it was one of those ones I was like, what is the history? Like, what? I've actually never used one. Have you?
I have. I didn't close it either. I remember.
Big no.
Yeah, I used it with my friend in high school, and my mom was so upset. She's like, I'm not going in there. And we were using it in my bedroom. And I remember we had a bunch of chocolate with us, and we got distracted because I think I had sat on an unwrapped bar of chocolate and just melted and smudged candy all over my bed, so we panicked and left, and we didn't close the board. We just left chocolate smudges, so who knows?
You could still be carrying that with you.
Maybe that's where my problems began, but the demon's just like, no. These idiots, I'm not haunting with that.
I'm kind of surprised I've never used one. I think I've just never been around one, and I've never owned one. I do kind of regret. It was probably maybe 15 years ago. My dad and I were at Toys R Us getting a birthday gift, and I was down the board game aisle, and there was this pink, like, glittery Ouija board.
Oh my god.
And I was like, why?
Because?
And so I kind of regret not buying that. And I guess in my research, I kind of found that was like a special edition that Hasbro released in 2008. So, I mean, I could have had maybe, I wish I would have bought it.
Why is Hasbro not releasing any more special edition Ouija boards?
I don't know. Let's write them. You
know what I regret is us not getting that board we found in Herman.
I know.
It wasn't even that expensive.
Well, it was $60, which we poor.
But we had spent so much on that trip already that we saw that on the last day and we're like, oh, if I'd seen this on the first day,
we would have 100% bought it.
And had I known the hangover some of those places would have given me, I would have saved my money and got the board.
Yeah, there's a lot of sugary drinks, so it
that
just
frozen thing. I still have flashbacks to that.
But Herman is great.
Yeah.
Maybe that Ouija board's still there.
Probably not.
Probably not. It was in like really good condition too, so it was probably worth the $60. But
it probably was legitimately haunted though.
Might be. But yeah.
Oh well.
Regrets.
Next time we find a used Ouija board that was abandoned in a antique shop, we'll just make sure to buy it, and we'll worry about the consequences of that later.
Yes.
I'm sure there won't be any.
Nah, it's good.
Just collect them all and put them on your wall and see how cursed you get.
Right, we have to start with one, which we don't have.
What? I mean, yes.
Your birthday's coming up. Perhaps you'll get an abundance of Ouija boards.
We're just like, what do we get her? She's weird. How about a Ouija board?
Done.
All of them. And then I need a wall to put them on. That's my next problem.
Well, honestly, I found out in my research that you should get one because it can help you be a good writer, too. Did you know there's quite a few famous writers that used Ouija boards?
So you're saying I'm so bad that I need ghosts to help me?
Yeah, they'll just do the work for you.
Since you want to be a writer and you're clearly not, can you get some dead people to tell you how to write better, Emily?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have writer's block, you can just turn to the Ouija board for inspiration.
There's no way that goes bad.
So, Sylvia Plath used.
Well, we know what happened to her.
Well, maybe there's some...
I don't know if I want to take
It's actually, well, it's kind of funny. I guess it was her husband at the time idea to help her with her like frustration and writer's block.
Writer's block.
Mary Brock. So Ted Hughes, her husband, they used like a homemade Ouija board and then an overturned brandy glass as the...
That's kind of fun.
As the pointer. And their spirit guide was named Pan.
Pan?
Mm-hmm.
Like Peter?
Yeah, but just Pan. No Peter. And they called on Pan often for advice on poetry and even like, winning numbers on horse races and stuff. And she wrote a poem called Ouija, and then another one that I didn't write down the name of. I'm so good. I'm a good researcher.
Poem name here.
But yeah, she wrote a couple of her works like from the Ouija board sessions. Which maybe it was more just about kind of like a form of meditation and just like a way to quiet your mind and,
it's true.
Listen to your inner voices.
It's more fun to say the
voices from beyond.
Yeah, like the voice of my cat from beyond the door won't shut up.
Yeah.
Just keep hearing, meow.
Pulitzer Prize winner James Merrill also used notes from his Ouija sessions to write his 560-page epic poem, The Changing Light at Sandover. Have you read it?
Nope.
Me either. And then I'd heard of this story before. In 1917, Emily Grant Hutchings claimed that her novel, Jap Heron, was dictated by Samuel Clemens' spirit, a.k.a. Mark Twain, through the use of a Ouija board after his death. But actually, Mark Twain's estate sued her for that, and every copy of Jap Heron was burned. So if there is miraculously a copy out there and you have it, you are...
They burned it.
Yeah, isn't that so, like...
That's
they were so mad at... Yeah, they were, like, so mad at her for, like, trying to, gain money off of Mark Twain that they destroyed all the copies, allegedly.
Or did they know it was true? And they're like, we can't let this ghost book...
I mean...
go into... I prefer that version.
She had a ghostwriter.
She had a ghostwriter.
Literally.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
So.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want a ghostwriter. Oh, they're kind of spooky.
All right. Well, so don't use it for your writing.
I don't know. I'll text you at 1 a.m. sometime like I did it. I've got the weirdest story. You're going to hear about it next week. Just give me like 5 days. I'm not going to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm just going to write whatever this ghost tells me. Does he spell out like letter for letter what you write? Just like
that sounds...
P, U.
Which maybe that's why it lends itself to like poetry, because it's just like random words are coming through. Oh my God, what a great poem. I'm nothing against poets, but I've never really been into poetry. I think I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which I guess it kind of, it makes it even more, it makes the nonsense better if the nonsense was dictated by a ghost.
Right, then it leads some credibility.
The purple toad dances over the gray sky in the early morn. Snowdrop.
Exactly. You don't even need the Ouija board. You're great. Emily is now a poetry writer.
Yes.
But, anyways, I guess I'll jump into like the basics of a Ouija board. Okay. So for those of you that maybe aren't quite into the occult as much as we are, although you probably are if you're listening to this podcast, but they're also known as talking boards. But in the modern Ouija, it's a flat board, often cardboard or wooden, that contains 2 arcs of letters of the alphabet above a line of numbers 0 to 9. There's the words yes and no in the upper corners and goodbye at the bottom. And the goodbye is super important. Gotta close out those sessions.
As someone who hasn't closed out a session, I can say that nothing happens.
Well, maybe you didn't actually get in touch with anyone.
Excuse you. You imply my session was unsuccessful?
Well, they can't all be successful, right?
Fine. I can't write and I can't do a spirit board session.
This is going to be the final episode of our podcast as Emily and Gayla break up their friendship.
Over false accusations.
Because Gayla's unintentionally insulting Emily.
Who knew?
And then I didn't know that this is what it's called. So the little like pointer, it's called a planchette.
I knew that.
I did not. See, I just knew nothing. I learned so much researching. It's the heart-shaped or teardrop piece of wood or plastic.
It's on my board.
Whoa, there it is.
Yeah.
Usually with a small window.
Uh-huh.
And you maneuver it about the board to spell out messages during a seance. The rules are participants, place their fingers on the planchette, pose a question, and watch as the planchette moves from letter to letter, spelling out answers, seemingly on its own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It
Yeah.
just makes me think of BuzzFeed Unsolved. The fuck you!
It's the best episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Go, man. Go watch it now, but not now when you're done
Yeah.
with us.
Also, like in a lot of the, I guess, early rules of the Ouija board, it says to place it on your knees, kind of to create contact with the board. But I think that's stupid because then that makes it really unstable.
Yeah, and my knees, like, I'm very shaky. If I'm doing
Yeah.
something, it's going to be like...
Yeah,
That's how you spell stuff out. You just got shaky knees.
But yeah. I mean, I saw like a lot of in my research like pictures or like advertisements, and yeah, it is on like a person's knee, and I'm like, that just seems like a recipe for it, having human error.
That's the secret. You need to have human error to talk to something.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't talk to anything. I did it perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Because you had it on the floor in between you.
Not on my bed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And chocolate.
And chocolate. Chocolate's always good.
Yeah.
Well, the exact origins of the talking board is a bit of a mystery, much like the workings of the board itself. I was in a very righty mood this morning.
The workings of the board.
Talking boards date back to 551 BC in ancient China, where spirit boards were common items used to communicate with the dead. There's also mention of them in ancient Greece and Rome, where they were used to, unearth revelations from the unseen world and predict the future.
That's cool.
But the Ouija board as we know it today, that came about in the 19th century during the spiritualist movement in the U.S.
I think that's where all of our ghost stuff is from.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Spiritualism could be its own episode.
Yeah, we should do that sometime.
It is the belief that spirits and the dead can and do communicate with the living. Spiritualism had been around for years in Europe, and it hit America hard in 1848 with the sudden prominence of the Fox sisters in upstate New York. The sisters claimed to receive messages from spirits who knocked on the walls and answered to questions, and they traveled coast to coast performing seances in parlors across America. Following the Civil War in the United States, spiritualism gained droves of new believers because people were so desperate to connect with lost relatives and loved ones. And that was, also a time where children often passed away from illness, and a lot of adults didn't live past the age of 50, so people were just desperate to find greater meaning in their lives. And so along with that, and then, aided by the celebrity Fox sisters and the prominence of other spiritualists sensationalized in the papers, by the 1890s, there were an estimated 8 million spiritualists in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm taking your job of being, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Oh, yeah. That's what I usually do when I say something. Just like,
Yeah. Or just stay quiet like you should.
Or my favorites, no.
No. I actually said that to her.
You did. You did.
Like 20 minutes
We're
ago.
trying to pick background music, and I liked it. No. All right. Oh. But we're still using it, so.
We actually, yes. I was too hasty with my no.
You were.
I had to come around to it.
Mm-hmm.
The spiritualist movement had some prominent people, like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is that where did Sherlock come from? A spirit box?
No.
Mm.
He was just he's a fervent spiritualist.
I know spiritualist movement.
It probably had maybe some influence on some of his Sherlock Holmes books, maybe. I don't know. I haven't read them, so I don't know if any of them have communication with the dead. I don't know.
I don't know either. I know spiritualist movement had somebody who really didn't like him.
Harry Houdini.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he went on, he was like a famed debunker and went on these.
I love that so much.
Yeah, he went around to disprove a lot of cases. He was like, And he did. I mean, a lot of them were people taking advantage of people through tricks, but...
Yeah. Still.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Fun fact, when he visited the Winchester Mystery House in 1924, he attempted to demystify the stories around Sarah Winchester, but according to the legend, he left with more questions than answers and dubbed it the Mystery House. So that's where the name Winchester Mystery House comes from.
Well, I like that. I like that it was able to withstand his scrutiny. It's fun.
Uh-huh.
I like it.
Yeah. Anyway, fun fact.
Yeah, I feel like that needs to be like a mini series of Harry Houdini debunking spiritualists.
I just love that he like took on that role. Like, I'm going to just prove all you that you're just tricking people.
Yeah, that's fun. I feel like I don't remember because obviously I haven't researched it, but I feel like I heard that his mom had passed away and like something. I don't know if he tried to work with a spiritualist himself or if he was just so upset by the idea of people taking advantage of people wanting to talk to their deceased relatives. I think that was part of it, but I could have also just completely made that up.
No, there might be some truth to that. I don't know. I didn't dive too much in. Table it for when we do our episode on the spiritualist movement.
Yes. We can try to contact Houdini.
I feel like he's like, nah.
I don't
like this stuff.
Not again.
Not again.
It's fake.
I feel like we've already... This is supposed
I'm
to be
derailing you. I'm done.
This is supposed to be a short episode. It's not.
I'll be quiet.
No. You're fine. Okay. So back to the history. Okay. So by 1886, the phenomenon of the talking boards had taken over the spiritual camps in Ohio. Which, if you think about it, so prior communication with the other side, it was like slow and boring and frustrating, just be like waiting for knocks to answers or calling out the alphabet. But the talking boards, they were provided quick communication.
Do they know?
Like any good capitalist, Charles Kennard of Baltimore, Maryland, wanted to monetize the growing popularity of these talking boards. So in 1890, he pulled together a group of 4 investors, including Elijah Bond, a local attorney, and Colonel Washington Bowie, to start the Kennard Novelty Company to exclusively make and market these new talking boards. But they needed a name to market their own talking board. And contrary to popular belief, Ouija is not a combination of the French word for yes and the German word for yes. Which kind of, makes sense because
yes board.
Yes board. I can see where people came up with that. But allegedly it was Elijah Bond's sister-in-law, Helen Peters. She was a medium. She supplied the name. During a seance, they were sitting around the table and they asked the board what they should call it. And the name Ouija came through. And when they asked what that meant, the board replied, "Good luck." Later, Peters acknowledged that she was wearing a locket bearing the picture of a woman with the name Ouija above her head. And it's very likely that woman in the locket was famous author and popular women's rights activist Ouida. That's how you say her name? Ouida. Whom Peters was known to admire. And that Ouija was maybe just a misspelling of that name. So, I don't know. I guess it's kind of fitting that the origin of the name is, like, as mysterious as the...
It's mysterious. It's just a really bad game of telephone.
I mean, maybe it's just a made-up name, like...
What is it? Ouija?
Ouija's better. Let's go with it.
And then everybody else is like, no, it's Ouija.
Yeah. We're going to change it even more.
That's what you get for using a bogus word for your game.
Yep. Well, Idaho is also a made-up name. Fun fact.
Sounds like a made-up name.
Yeah. I think it was like some, I don't know, senator from Colorado or something that was like, Idaho.
Technically, every name is a made-up name.
Wow, we're getting deep.
It's not that deep. Everything's made up.
Yeah. What even is life?
It's
Everything's made up. We're having an existential crisis on a Sunday.
No, this is just life.
This is just life.
Life is fake.
It's meaningless.
It's my Sunday morning nihilism again.
We gotta stop recording on Sunday.
I take my Monday blues very seriously. Life is meaningless.
We're gonna be back in like the Civil War times where they use the Ouija boards to, you know, find meaning in life. That's why we're gonna need one. We need to find meaning in our lives.
And it just tells you something stupid like pancake.
Yeah. You know what? My life would be so much better with pancakes. It's true.
Yeah, it is true. You should get some pancakes out of this.
You know, I actually prefer pancakes, like, not in the morning, but we used to make them a lot in college. Like, we'd have them at, like, midnight.
Oh, God. The midnight pancake.
Oh, yeah. Would be.
Actually, it does not sound like a bad idea.
Yeah, I kind of prefer them, like, late at night than in the morning. Yeah. Anyways, that is irrelevant. Where even am I?
That segue was so hard. We're in a different realm.
Yeah. It's the board, man.
Took it all the way to pancakes. Oh, God.
Yeah, so I don't even know where. So yeah, the obsession with spiritualism just translated well to the sales of Ouija board, and it was a big moneymaker. By 1892, the Kennard Novelty Company. Did I say that weird? I feel like I said that weird. Gosh dang. All right. By 1892, the Kennard Novelty Company went from one factory in Baltimore to two in Baltimore, two in New York, two in Chicago, and one in London. But by 1893, Kennard and Bond got out of the business because they didn't like the stress of owning their own company. I
get that. And I'm so stressed owning this company.
Yeah, I'm out. But by this time, William Fuld, who he'd kind of gotten in on the ground floor when the company was first started as an employee and stockholder, he then was running the company. And he's actually often credited with inventing the Ouija board because I think it was in his obituary in the New York Times. They credit him as the creator, but he wasn't. He simply bought the Elijah Bond's patent and just took over the company.
I feel like stealing having been the person to create the Ouija board does not bode well for you being able to communicate in the afterlife with anybody.
Yeah. He actually died really tragically. I wasn't going to talk about that, but he was on the roof of the factory, like, putting up a flag, and he, like, fell 3 stories to his death.
Oh.
So.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. It's a gnarly way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, don't put up flags.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's bad. Flags is bad, man.
Yeah. But prior to that, before he died, so he founded his own, he called it the Southern Novelty Company in Baltimore, and then he eventually renamed it the Baltimore Talking Board Company. And in 1898, with the blessing of Colonel Bowie, who was a majority shareholder and one of the 2 remaining original investors, he licensed the exclusive rights to make the board. And then in 1919, Colonel Bowie sold the remaining business interest in Ouija to Fuld for $1. And by 1920, William Fuld had made $1 million in sales from the Ouija board, which was a lot of money back in 1920. That's all, yeah. It really get you a long ways back then, though.
I know, but it'd get me a long ways right now.
Yeah. It's nice to dream about that.
Even $1, I'm like, woohoo!
Yeah, woo!
That's almost not even almost a coffee. Never mind.
Yeah, it's not my
$1, almost a coffee, and I was like, nope, it's not.
It's
maybe
just a spotter coffee.
It's the cup.
Yeah. So kind of the Ouija board kind of went up and down in sales over the years. In the 1910s and the 20s with, you know, the devastation of World War I, and then you kind of the manic, crazy years of the Jazz Age and Prohibition, there was a surge in popularity. It was actually so, like, normalized that in the May 1920 edition of the Saturday Evening Post, Norman Rockwell, you know, the illustrator of blissful 20th century what? How do you say that word?
Domesticity.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever really said that word out loud.
Domesticity. Oh, you want to know? Okay. I got made fun of at work because I apparently never have said miscellaneous out loud. I just write misc.
Right.
The abbreviation. And I was talking in a meeting and I was like, miscellaneous. And they're just like, it's so funny. Like, what are you talking about? It's miscellaneous. Like, why is it spelled misc in the abbreviation? It's not miscellaneous. It's miscellaneous.
I kind of like miscellaneous.
I do too. It's
Sounds better.
It does.
Yeah, you tell them.
Yeah, miscellaneous.
Tell them Kayla, who can't pronounce good.
Kayla and Emily, who can't pronounce good, say that they're doing it right.
Yeah.
They don't talk real good, but they talk better than you. I'm done.
So Norman Rockwell, he depicted a man and a woman with a Ouija board on their knees, communing with the beyond on, that cover of the Saturday Evening Post. So it's just kind of funny.
So funny that was like a
it's just so normal
thing. Yeah, it's like playing Monopoly.
It was,
Just talk to the dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a very just like innocent parlor game.
Whereas now it's like evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
By the 1940s, the Ouija board, again, after following World War II and families looking to the Ouija for news of their loved ones and to reach out to those that have died, it had a surge again in popularity. And in 1944, the New York Times reported that a New York department store had sold 50,000 Ouija boards in a 5-month period.
My God.
Yeah. It's also kind of just interesting to think, like, during time, like, there was a rise during the Great Depression. Like, the Fold Company actually had to open new factories, and following war, where people would have probably been hard pressed for money. Like, they were so desperate that they would spend what little money they had to buy a Ouija board. It's kind of, I don't know, sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It's like, is it because people wanted to communicate with somebody who'd passed away that bad, or like,
right?
That is really sad.
Or find closure, I guess.
Yeah. I guess a time with so much death. That,
You're just looking for some kind of
meaning,
I guess. I don't know. But, so let's see. Where am I at? My history. Almost there. Okay. In 1966, the Parker Brothers Toy Company, they bought the rights to the Ouija board. And within their first year of sales, it outsold Monopoly with over 2.3 million boards sold. Isn't that impressive?
That's crazy. I just feel like with how many Ouija boards have been sold and with how many terrible things haven't happened, we'll find out probably later.
Yes,
I'm assuming in your episode. But like, I just feel like to me that just proves that it's just a game. And that there's nothing else there. But, well, guess we'll find out what you've got to share with us.
Yeah. Just
you have a knowing look.
Give me a couple paragraphs and I will get there.
Okay.
When Parker Brothers took it over, they also had a boost in sales due to the Vietnam War and the race riots in Newark, Detroit, Minneapolis, and Milwaukee. It was, advertised as a device that gave answers which were just sought after during the time of uncertainty. So it just, I don't know, that long-standing success, it just tapped into like a weird place in American culture.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting.
It's funny too, it's like marketed as this, both a mystical oracle and also fun family entertainment.
I know.
Just seems so, I don't know,
like summon your babysitter from the great beyond today. Buy a Ouija board.
But, this is where... Yes. So, when did it change? When would it go from this innocent, fun, family, non-threatening game to what we view it now?
Somebody lost an eye, didn't they?
It was a certain movie that came out in 1973. Can you guess which one?
1973. The Ouija board? Was the Ouija board involved? 1973.
Pea Soup.
Exorcist.
Yep. So The Exorcist, quote, based on a true story, quote.
When did the book come out?
I don't know. I know the real story happened in the 40s, right?
Yeah.
Of The Exorcist. I don't know when the book came out.
I tried reading it. It was alarming. The book came out in 1971.
So then the movie was, quickly after that. Yeah, so it featured, the young girl. She was possessed by a demon after playing with a Ouija board by herself. So,
so literally, it was just a work of fiction.
Yeah, so pretty much overnight, the Ouija board then became a tool of the devil, And, it was probably also fueled by the satanic panic was kind of starting to happen around that time. And America was still reeling from the Manson cult murders and the rise of serial killers like the Zodiac and the Alphabet Killers. And then, after The Exorcist and the Ouija board was popping up in other horror films. And so then it just became, people just saw it as, it's opening a door to evil spirits. And it planted this fear of, hell on earth in American culture.
It is interesting, like, when you put all of those events that kind of started happening around the same time together, it does make sense that people are like, what is making all of this happen? Like, like it's such, like, aggressively violent, senseless things that you have to be like, well, surely there's
a reason.
Yeah, it's all these damn Ouija boards we've been playing with all these years.
Yeah.
Just summoned a legion of demons. We didn't know it.
It's so fascinating that, like, a singular, the book and movie could just change culture so much. Because, I found in my research that it was even, the Ouija board was even, like, in a episode of I Love Lucy, where Lucy and Ethel, like, host a seance. And, it's kind of more, like, silly. Like, it was never viewed as harmful until, until The Exorcist.
I feel like there are a lot of people that just, like, mention, we used to have seances and stuff, or it wasn't, like, this big thing. Like, it didn't come across as a big evil thing. But I feel like the concept of demons didn't enter into that realm until, I guess, probably around this time, so much as it was more, like, playful. Of course, you're only speaking to spirits of deceased loved ones or something, not potential demons pretending to be these spirits.
Right.
It's an interesting change.
Right. And is it more because if you believe it's real, was that just not happening back then because they weren't allowing it? Like, people in 1915, if they did a seance, they weren't even open to, like, a demon possibly coming through, so that didn't happen? Or it just doesn't really work? I mean, I think like anything, I don't think there's anything, the Ouija board itself is not, you're opening yourself up to that communication, so I don't think it's really the Ouija board specifically.
Yeah. And, like, the concept of possession didn't start then. It already existed.
Right. I don't know.
Maybe it is a thing. If it were to be real, maybe it would be people didn't even entertain the idea, like you said, so that wouldn't summon whatever that thing is. But once
because they weren't open to it.
Yeah, once the idea is there, then, and you're thinking about it, maybe that's all you need to do to. I don't know.
Or the demons were coming through back then, and they just didn't brushed it off.
Yeah, maybe it's like that's what people act like, obviously. And then in the 70s, people were like, no. That's not it. That's weird.
It's not demon.
Don't vomit on people and spin your head 360 degrees.
Well, and it probably didn't help too. Like, the Catholic Church then came out, after The Exorcist, and they were like, they denounced, you can't use that board because it's a form of divination and it can lead to demonic possession. So it's like when you've got this massive, organization coming out too and, like, saying it's bad, maybe it's just kind of. It's also lending itself to, which we've kind of talked about in the Dybbuk episode, like, it's giving it bad energy.
Yeah.
Like, before, no one gave a Ouija board bad energy, but now we give it bad energy. I don't know.
That is yeah. Like, you guys didn't care this whole time, and suddenly...
Yeah.
Bad vibes from the Ouija board.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So...
Are they still at Toys... Does Toys R Us even exist anymore?
It does not.
Oh.
So I don't know. It's definitely not in the Target board game aisle, which is pretty small.
I think I've seen it actually at Target before.
Oh, I went recently just to look, and they didn't. But also, the Target by my house is kind of a smaller Target, so. But
that'd be a fun activity. Go to a few local stores and see if you can find a Ouija board.
It's probably at board game stores.
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, I know they're on Etsy. There's some really fun custom ones on Etsy.
I regret not buying that pink one from Target, especially when I found out that it was like a special edition version. I saw it. I had it in my hands. I remember, like, showing my dad, like, how is this possible that they would market to girls?
And imagine if it were you now, you'd be like, we are getting that.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
And framing it and putting it on my wall. Oh my God.
So, yeah, I guess the end of my history is, like, in 1991, Parker Brothers, or Hasbro acquired it from Parker Brothers, and yep, they still sell thousands of boards today. I don't know where you get them, but They still sell them.
We'll find out.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I mean, it still, like, permeates our culture. It's still in, like, movies and
Yeah, now they're definitely
shows
like
and
100% just a bad thing.
it's now an occult item. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily really part of the occult before, but
That is so... It's strange how something can become... Like, the concept of it can become more dangerous over time.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what terrible tales you have for us.
Yeah. So there's kind of some, I don't know if funny is not the right word, but there was a time where the Ouija board was used as a scapegoat for crimes. Like, the Ouija board told me to do it. Probably the most famous story that, like, kept coming up in my research is it was a 15-year-old girl, Maddie Turley, who on November 18th, 1933, shot and killed her father because the Ouija board told her to do so that her mother, Dorothea, could marry a man that made her happier. I mean, the jury didn't believe it, and I think both the mom and daughter went to prison. But I just kind of...
So, like, that board told me to do it.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of stories like that where...
And somebody's plotting a crime, they're like, how could I get away with this? If I say that the board told me to do it, obviously, they will find me innocent. Or they will see I am justified. Yep.
That's what I guess Dorothea, the mother, had told her daughter. Like, you won't get in trouble because the board told us to do this. Yeah, well, that worked out real well for them.
Yeah, nice try, Dorothea.
Yeah, I'll link an article that has a bunch of, like, those stories of crimes. But yeah, that one's, like, probably the most...
I guess that's kind of like what you talked about in your Roman ghost episode.
Right,
like,
where...
the ghost said,
it came to me in my dream and told me.
Like, why aren't you believing me?
Yeah. But some of the scarier stories, if you will, it seems like there's just a lot of, like, more personal stories of the Ouija board. Like, on the internet, you'll find, I don't know, people, like, on Reddit or, like, on some podcast episodes I listened to, they had, like, listeners, you know, call in with their stories. So there's not really, like, big stories.
Yeah.
There's not very many about the Ouija board. I feel like it's more like these small stories, like, me and my friends did it and weird shit happened.
Yeah.
But there are a couple, and kind of somewhat recent. So in November of 2014, 35 students at a school in Santa Cruz de la Sierra in Bolivia were hospitalized after playing with a Ouija board. They were reportedly suffering from mental agitation and confusion, profuse sweating, rapid heartbeats, and trance states. So that's, like, creepy.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But the largest outbreak of illness attributed to a Ouija board took place between October 2006 and June 2007 at an all-girls Catholic boarding school outside Mexico City. Students at the Girls Town School reported a variety of symptoms, including headaches, piercing sensation in their legs, nausea, fevers, and difficulty walking. Symptoms would go away and just as suddenly recur. State and federal inspectors were even sent in to test the environment, the food, the water, the soil, and the results showed nothing unusual. They also tested the girls themselves for illnesses and found nothing. It was as though the school had, like, fallen under a spell. And of the student population of 4,000, 512 were affected. That's a large number. Mexican psychiatrist, I hope I say her name right, Nachila Loa Zavala, investigated the outbreak and diagnosed it as a case of mass hysteria and traced it back to a student who used a Ouija board to try to influence the outcome of a school basketball game. She noted that the accused girl, Maria, was expelled for using the board, but before leaving the school, she was reported to have cursed them, and it was soon after that the symptoms appeared. A belief in the reality of demons and spirits and the involvement of the Ouija board, and there was also a rumor that Maria's mother was a witch, just kind of led to this mass hysteria. And Dr. Zavala, she observed that even before the outbreak, the school was kind of a hotbed in tension because it was really strict. Yeah. And, even a minor infraction would result in dismissal from the school. So yeah, it just kind of, it started small. Like the first few victims were
Yeah.
just people that were in Maria's group, and then it spread across like the whole school.
Yeah, it's interesting that, like, because the one you mentioned before that, it seems like they're both kind of like a mass hysteria type situation. And, like, again, that kind of lends itself to, like, the power you just give things and how it affects you mentally.
Yep, which is exactly, what we talked about in our Dybbuk episode. So, yeah. And it's also interesting that a lot of these more recent versions of the Ouija board, they're coming from Mexico and South America, where there's just they've got a lot of, superstitions
Yeah.
and stuff too. So that just kind of leads, you combine that then with
And that being at
the
a
Ouija
Catholic
board.
school with that one incident, I'm sure that it's been terrible.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering if you heard about this one, because you're kind of like video games. I guess there was in 2015, there was like a viral game called Charlie, where players would,
Sounds scary.
they created a makeshift version of a Ouija board where they would write yes or no on paper, and they would chat with a demonic spirit.
I've not heard of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up now.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. Like, I'd be curious to see if people have, like, recordings of them playing it so you can see how many.
I mean, because 2015, probably. That was only 8 years ago.
Oh, it's not a.
It's like a...
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
So they call it a divination game.
Yeah, I didn't do too much research because I was just curious if you had heard of it.
Because it's not even like a video game, unless they made it.
Well, I guess I shouldn't. I maybe was wrong about it. They just
it's like
videoed it. I shouldn't have said video game, but like...
We should watch. There's some people who play it on YouTube. We should definitely watch it.
Yeah.
A couple.
Yeah. I meant more, it was videoed, not
I
video game.
I was picturing the game and I was like, that's so scary.
Yeah.
It probably is something like that now, though.
Yeah. I misspoke a little bit, but...
Damn it, I wanted to go on Steam and get the demon game. Maybe I'll playing Charlie.
Actually, now we're going to be video game creators.
Yes.
We're gonna
We play Charlie games where we summon demons and see what happens.
Come with me to Candy Mountain, Charlie.
Charlie.
That's what it makes me think of.
blurred on, Charlie. Charlie.
But to wrap up, there is a scientific explanation for how the Ouija works. It's called the idiomotor effect, which means, it's the small movements we make without intending to or realize we are making them. It's the influence of the unconscious mind on muscle movements. So, which kind of, I guess it was first identified in 1852, preceding Sigmund Freud's theory of the unconscious mind. And Dr. William Benjamin Carpenter, he discovered the idiomotor effect while investigating the unconscious mind ability to direct motor activity. And then other researchers began linking that to, of course, spiritual paranormal phenomena.
That does make sense, because, like, especially...
You might not even realize you're doing it, like when are you moving the board?
I'm not moving
No, I'm
it.
not, but your subconscious might be moving it.
Your subconscious can tell you you're a bitch.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. So I don't know. I don't know if it really matters. I mean, does the board really work or not? Maybe. I mean, I think it's more about if you're using it, you're opening yourself up to allowing a spirit or, I don't know, a demon to contact you. So I think it's just a device.
I wonder too, since, like, technically to actually do the whole seance summoning part, there is more of a ritual to it, and maybe, like, so many people aren't doing the full thing, so maybe it doesn't fully open, or
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We should find out sometime.
Yes. I know. Like I said, I've never used one, which it's kind of surprising.
Just not do it here. I don't want to do it in my apartment.
No.
Like,
We should do it
at an Airbnb or something.
or a cemetery. I don't know.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
We should have a picnic and then a seance.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Every time I see a cemetery now, I'll text Kayla and be like, I just saw a really cool cemetery. We should go.
You did do that earlier last week.
Yup. I think it was Lee Summit.
Yeah.
They had a cool cemetery. We should go for a walk.
We should go for a walk and a little seance.
We could go for a cemetery walk today. It is a good cemetery walk day.
Ooh, we could maybe get some cool pictures. It's very drizzly today.
It is. I say coffee and cemetery stroll later.
More caffeine!
I have never have enough. It brought me life today, so I need more.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the sodas started hitting me more by the end of this episode. In the beginning, I feel like
a little bit to...
my mood might have been a little weird. So sorry, guys, if you're like, what is with them on this episode?
You're just lucky we learned that we shouldn't drink alcohol while we record.
We did, yeah. We learned that we switched to soda.
Yeah.
Sugar.
We need sugar and caffeine to be mildly cohesive.
Da, 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 da.
I say mildly.
Yeah, it's
With
still
much
not helping me
emphasis.
with my speech.
Fine.
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 So yeah, I don't know, that's the Ouija board. So now you know more than you did an hour ago, I hope.
Ouija board.
Ouija. Ouija.
You're correcting me after I'm doing the correction. You corrected me the first. I'm confused.
I know, I was just being mean. So, I don't know. Anything else? No?
I was falling a pop quiz. Anything else, Emily? Do you remember what I said? Can you recite it all to me perfectly?
No, I'm like, do you want to say anything else before we, say goodbye?
Let's
I'm all
think.
talked out. I don't know.
Let's think if there's any.
Oh, while she's thinking, I guess if anyone has their own Ouija stories, you could email us at podcast.remnants@gmail.com and we could, share them if you want. Because there were some podcasts I listened to where they shared people's stories. I mean, there's some really crazy sounding stories out there. So if you guys have any.
Yeah, I don't think I have any, oh my gosh, any other Ouija adjacent stories.
Yeah.
Or anything even interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just a loud cat.
Yeah, she is.
She's got
she is
something.
real
She's
nice.
Let me.
And
I know something.
I want to talk.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed learning about the Ouija board, and I was a little sad to find that there wasn't. I thought there'd be some cool, famous stories, but aside from those mass hysteria outbreaks, there really wasn't too much. So
yeah, we'll have to troll Reddit at some point and see if we can find some more. But yeah, if you guys do, like Kayla said, if you have any stories, let us know. We'll have to make our own at some point, but
yeah.
Yeah, guess we'll find out someday.
Woo woo. Yeah. So like us, follow us, share us, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.